Hey everybody, welcome back to Smart Couples Finish Rich, the review step number 3. If you have not checked out step number 1 or 2 yet, I'll put the link up there and down below. Make sure to check those out first. Also, just a disclaimer, this is not financial advice. I am not a financial advisor, just some guy on YouTube talking about a book. If you have not read the book, make sure you get it so you can follow along. There are 9 steps to Smart Couples Finishing Rich. Today is step number 3. Plan together so you can win together. Let's dive in. The author here talks about 3 fundamental truths of financial planning. Number 1, you can't plan your finances if you don't know where you're starting from. If you remember back in step 1, the author has you answer a series of questions to see how you are in terms of understanding your couple's finance. Do you remember your scores? My score was a 6, Nita was a 0. Basically, we failed because 9 is average, 13 and above, you know what you're doing. Me and Nita have a lot of work to do. Fundamental number 2, you can't plan your finances if you don't know where you want to end up. Me and Nita have not had an in-depth conversation about where we wanted to end up. I did implant a little seed into her brain about the FIRE movement, which is financially independent, retire early. Ideally, within 10 years, we would like enough resources to have the ability to retire. So far, she's along for the ride. However, I would like her in the driver's seat. Fundamental number 3, in order to stay on track from your starting point to your destination, you have to monitor your progress. We have a little bit of progress. However, Nita has not gotten her California license yet, to be able to start applying for her jobs out here in California. If you're hiring, let us know. Once she starts her job, we're going to start getting on track. In step number 3, the author focuses on giving yourself a financial cleanup. Here in this chapter, he talks about his Finish Rich file folder system. He talks about having a system so you can manage your finances. He doesn't limit you to his system. He states that you can also use online programs as well. Personally, I use a mixture of personal capital and Excel spreadsheets. Some other methods of managing your finances are Mint and QuickBooks. If you have any other recommendations, put it down on the comments below. Okay, so let's get into the Finish Rich folder system. The first folder he has you make is tax returns. Make sure you have 8 subfolders for this to include 7 years of previous tax returns and your current one. If you're filing together, you can put it in one folder. If you're filing separately, put it in 2. The second folder is retirement accounts. This is your 401k, Roth IRA, and I would even guess HSA. In your retirement accounts, you want to put your quarterly statements there. However, since me and Nita utilize Vanguard, all our quarterly statements are online. Number 3 is Social Security benefits. Funny story here, we were able to access Nita's Social Security benefits, however, I got locked out of mine. They make you answer 6 questions about your financial history to give you a username and password. I have 18 years of credit history, and I probably got one of those questions wrong. Number 4 is investment accounts. This is your brokerage and stock accounts. Number 5 is savings and checkings. Now you probably don't have to file your statements here because they're all online nowadays, and most institutions will hold your information for 7 years anyways. Number 6 is household accounts. This is for expenditures on household goods or repairs, things of that nature. Here you can keep receipts, warranties, etc. Number 7 is credit card debt. Author says to put debt here into large capital letters. He doesn't talk about how to eliminate debt here, but if you want more information on how to attack your debt, check out David Ramsey. Number 8 is other liabilities. This could be school loans, car loans, personal loans, and etc. Number 9 is insurance. This is health, auto, home, disability, and life insurance. Number 10 is family will or living trust. I've been told that if you have over $150,000 in assets, you want to create a living trust. Number 11 is your children's savings account. For us, that would be a 529 account. Not sure we're going to start one yet. Follow our channel, we might do a video on it. Number 12 is real estate and other investments. Other investments could be gold, Bitcoin, and if you're watching this in April 2020, toilet paper, and possibly hand sanitizer. Number 13 is this Finish Rich inventory planner. Basically, this is a P&L where you take your income minus your expenses. You can simply do that on an Excel spreadsheet. The author will show you his planner at the end. You can go through to make sure you have all the criteria checked. As you can see here, out of the 13 recommended folders that the author says to create, I've only underlined 4 of them because those are the only folders that I did not have yet. Everything else can already be tracked online. He does encourage you to review the statements constantly of all these folders. He says that a common mistake made by mortgage companies is that they would incorrectly reflect your mortgage payments. For himself, he said that 8 out of the last 12 payments were incorrect. That's pretty crazy. You're going to want to double check your mortgage statements. Alright, if you're having trouble getting your partner to sit down and do this cleanup with you, here's some advice from the author. Offer honey, not vinegar. He doesn't want you to berate your spouse for bad organization, financial management, or a lack of support. You could jump into a pretty negative hole here, bringing up all the negatives. Instead, what you want to do is set up a 2-hour money date, asking your spouse if he or she can help you with a homework assignment. If that doesn't work, find yourself a new spouse. I'm just kidding. Basically, last resort, just start filing yourself. As you get the paperwork from your spouse, that should spark interest for your spouse to help you out. Lastly, in step number 3, the author teaches us here how to design your purpose-focused financial plan. Finally! What he has us do here is just basically create goals based on the values that you create in step number 2. So if you have your top 5, rule number 1 is just make sure your goals are based on those values. He says here to create one goal to start for each of your values. Rule number 2 is make your goals specific, detailed, and with a deadline. For example, instead of saying, hey, I want a vacation home, In Florida, you want to say, I want a vacation home in Orlando, Florida, 3-bedroom, 2-bath, on the lake, 2-car garage, heated floors, white picket fence, and I want it by 2021. I also want to go there 4 times a year, summer, winter, spring, and fall. Number 3, put your top 5 goals into writing. Not enough to have it in your head, you got to write it down. Don't worry, because the author here gives you a spreadsheet to keep track of this later on. Number 4, start taking action toward your goals within 48 hours. Take an example at the vacation home. What you can start to do is look up things on Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, walk in Google Maps, and probably the most important thing is talk about it with your spouse. Number 5, enlist help. He says most goals that are big enough usually require some help for you to obtain it. Rule number 6, get a rough idea of costs it'll take to achieve your goals. By walking through rule number 6, the author says that you can really see if your goals are unrealistic or realistic. For example, me and Nita want to retire within 10 years, but with 2 kids, is that realistic? And the answer is yes, but probably not in San Francisco, California. Seeing all the costs involved in raising a child definitely helps with making decisions. How close we live to the school, how close we live to the in-laws, and the type of activities they can do around where we live. Possibly instead of 12 kids, we'll just settle for 2. Number 7, goals must match your values as a couple. I love the example the author gives here. He talks about a husband and wife's goal of traveling the world before they have kids. However, the husband wants a vacation home in a different state. That's one of his goals attached to his values. However, together they want to travel a lot before the kids come out. Putting those 2 goals side by side, it doesn't make sense to save for world travel and also to have a vacation home in their case. So in that scenario, the husband sacrificed his vacation home to do world travel with his wife before the kids come out. My interpretation is that you don't have to eliminate the goal entirely. You could change it up. Maybe that husband could do Airbnb 3 to 4 times a year. Once you have your goals, make sure that you go through it with your spouse. Here's a spreadsheet that the author has to help you plan your top 5 goals. Me and Nita found that step 3 was the most fun so far. Let's take a look at Nita's goals and how she planned them out. Without her permission, of course. For example, one of her values was family. And her goal is to visit her family 2 to 3 times a year in Boston, Massachusetts, or have them visit here in San Francisco, California. So the financial goal to help accomplish that goal would be basically buying plane tickets, which turns out to be $300 per round trip ticket, or 75,000 credit card points. The 48-hour plan would be for her to speak to her mom to see when she wants to travel here, or for Nita to go back to Boston. The person she would turn to for help would be her mom, and also for me to help her with the travel plans. The deadline for her would be to figure this out in July, because that's when she's moving here, and then from then she'll visit her family periodically. For me, one of my top values is excitement and fun, is to do a trip to Japan, Korea, and Hong Kong. We want to do this along with our friends who are also getting married this year. The cost for this trip is probably $5,000 minimum. My 48-hour plan is to start getting dates so we can start making plans around those dates. And I will need the help of not only myself, Nita, but we also need the help of our friends so we can coordinate that trip. Because we're in the middle of this pandemic, I'm just going to put a deadline of December 2020 to have this all planned out. There you have it, everybody. This step was really simple. In summary, there's 3 things you need to do. Number 1, create your financial folders with your partner. If you're like me, you only have folders for a couple of things, and the rest you'll keep on an Excel spreadsheet. And if you want, give your spouse the access to those accounts so they can have the information readily available. Number 2 is create your 5 value-based goals. If you need some help with that, comment down below, message me, I'll help you out. And lastly, number 3 is just take action within 48 hours. All right, everybody, stay tuned for next week's step number 4. If you have not done so yet, subscribe, like, and share this video. Make sure you check out some of my other videos here. Have a great week. Peace.